1.5 deals with subtraction of real numbers. So before I start real numbers, let's just go real quickly over the basic rules of adding. So to add, if the signs are the same, you add the absolute values and keep the common sign. If the signs are different, instead of adding the absolute value, you would subtract the absolute value. And once you subtract the absolute value, you keep the sign of the higher absolute value. So if the signs are the same, you add the absolute values, keep the common sign. If the signs are different, you subtract the absolute value and keep the sign of the higher absolute value. Very important that you understand these when we're talking about subtraction. So, two rules here. If you are subtracting two numbers, let's keep this generic, like A minus B. What our goal is to change the subtraction problem into an addition problem. So if I have A minus B and I want to change this into an addition problem, what I would do is take the negative sign and push it with the B and put a plus sign in between the A and the negative B. These mean the exact same thing. A minus B is the same thing as saying A plus negative B. So if I had numbers in here and I wanted to write this 5 minus 3 as an addition problem, it would be 5 plus negative 3. Say if I had 7 minus 9. If I change this into an addition problem, it will be 7 plus negative 9. And likewise, if I had a negative sign in the front. Notice the first number never changes. So I have negative 5, and then that minus sign I'm going to push with the 3. And so you have negative 5 plus negative 3. The first number never changes. It's the second number that changes to a negative, and then you put a plus sign in between. So, if I had a problem, let's say negative 10 minus 3, and I asked you to change this into an addition problem, it'll be negative 10 plus negative 3. Once you change the problem into an addition problem, you utilize the addition rules. Now, when you look at these two numbers, negative 10, negative 3, they both have the same sign. So the rules from previous said that if you have the same sign, you add the numbers together and keep the common sign. So the answer to this is negative 13. Let's say if I had 5 minus 23. So change this to an addition problem by pushing the negative sign with the 23. And so in this case, these signs are different. This is a positive 5. This is a negative 23. They're different. So the rules for different signs is you subtract the two numbers. So I do 23 minus 5. So this gives me 8. And then I bring down 1. So I get 18 when I do my subtraction, but the higher absolute value is the 23. So this is actually going to be negative 18. Take the sign of the higher number. So that's one situation of where you change a subtraction into an addition. Now, what if you have two negatives side by side? If I wanted to change this into an addition problem, it would be A plus B. The two negatives that are in the middle come together and make it positive. A plus B. So let me put numbers in here. Let's say if I had 5 minus negative 3, and I wanted to change this into an addition problem, I would bring the two negatives together in the middle, and it would be 5 plus 3. Let's say if I had negative 10 minus negative 5. If I change this into an addition problem, the first number stays the same, and then the two negatives in the middle come together and make it positive 5. So notice on this problem, when I change it into an addition problem, the two signs are different. So I subtract the two numbers, 10 minus 5, that gives me 5, and I take the sign of the higher number, which is the 10. So my answer is negative 5. Likewise, for the previous problem, when I change it into an addition, 5 plus 3, that's going to give me 8. Those signs are the same, so we added them together and kept the common sign. So let's do a couple of examples before we end this video. Let's do negative 47 minus 5. Let's do 101 minus negative 26. Let's do 5 minus 19. And let's do negative 13 minus negative 5. And let's see how each one of these work. So the thing that you want to do is change your subtraction to an addition problem. So for number 1, if I change this into an addition problem, the first number stays the same, negative 47. Then the negative that's with the 5 is going to push up with the 5 like that, and then we're going to put the positive sign in between the two numbers. So now I've changed the subtraction into an addition problem. And since the signs are the same, I add them together. So I do 47 plus 5, and that's going to give me 52. But my answer is actually going to be negative 52 because the common sign was a negative. Let's look at number 2. First number stays the same, 101. The two negatives in the middle come together and make it positive, and then I put 26. These two signs are the same, so I add them together. So 101 plus 26, that gives me 127. And then the common sign was positive, so my final answer is going to be positive. Let's look at number 3. I have 5, first number stays the same, plus negative 19. So I push the negative sign up with the 19. These two signs are different, so I subtract them. That gives you 14. And this will actually be negative 14 because the 19 is the bigger absolute value. And then last but not least, negative 13 plus 5, because the two negatives in the middle come together and make it positive. These signs are different, so 13 minus 5 is going to give you 8, and this would actually be negative 8 because the 13 is the higher absolute value.